Kim and Al. We have been planning our escape from a fast-paced corporate life since we met 10 years ago. Freedom 45. This year, we finally pulled the ripcord. We quit our jobs, sold our home in the city, bought a property in the sticks, and are building an off-grid home ourselves. We're excited to share our experience as we create our new life on the North River.
As every ocean come as rain, I know my circles, I know.
Hey folks, we're going to give you a quick update on what we did in the solar closet here, the utility closet or electric shed, whatever you like. I built a Bumtown air conditioning unit, which consists of borrowing the 24-volt load. So, like on each of the charge controllers, there's a feature that allows you to run a light bulb or a small DC load up to 24 volts. And so I had the idea that a light, which you probably can't see, but the one charge controller powers a light bulb, which is just light up the shed at night. The other one, what I did was I ran power through a little $23, thank you Amazon, thermostat that normally would go in like a trailer or an RV, and that is wired to two muffin fans, like computer CPU type fans, and then also a light bulb socket. So the idea is if I put the thermostat in cooling mode, if I set the temperature and the temperature exceeds that threshold, like any other thermostat, it's going to trip a circuit, turn on the muffin fans, and one is at the bottom, which brings cold air in from the bottom or the ground level, directs them toward the batteries, and then up above at the top I have one that is exhausting the hot air that rises, so just creating just a circulation. I also put a bowl of water in front of the fan. Just I did a little reading, and you know there is some science to evaporative cooling. Allows you to blow water across, or sorry, blow air across water, and when it evaporates, it has to absorb energy to do that, and so you get a small cooling effect. And then if I switch it to heating mode, and the threshold, the temperature goes below the threshold, it will activate the lights, the light socket. So I'm gonna have like a 100-watt light bulb in there. A lot of people we talk to, like Gord, the nice guy that comes by and visits us all the time, 89-year-old man, used to be a farmer. He used a 100-watt light bulb to keep his pump and like water supply from freezing, like the pump house. So good enough for that, should be good enough for this, and we'll monitor it. But the idea is if it gets a little colder than the heat that's produced from the unit naturally, then it should kick in that light bulb to give it a little boost on colder days. So that's in a nutshell. Kim will have some pictures and things, she'll stitch it all together, but the idea is thermostat, controlling, set of fans, and lamp. That's really it.
The digging for the tractor is done for the field bed. We had to do a little leveling by hand because it's tricky to scrape the hard clay with the tractor. We called for some quotes on sand and materials, and now we're waiting on responses. So we're switching gears and continuing to take down the farmhouse, starting with the second floor, taking care to recover all the barn board.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now. Let's move closer to a new history, find out what we can be together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance. 'Cause one day we'll be looking back at this. We were in a big mess together, but we found a way to dancing closely together and staying forever young. What about you and I then? Can we two find a way to align with each other? Let's move closer to a new history. Find out what we can be together. Take my hand and we will conquer the world. This is our final chance. 'Cause one day we'll be looking back at this. We were in a big mess together. But we found a way to choose right from wrong. We found the strength to go on together. To go on together. Yeah. To go on together.
Hi guys, so we are up in the farmhouse again. This is the fourth day that we've worked on the farmhouse boards on the second floor. We have pretty much removed all of the boards on the walls, and we have removed some on the ceiling, except for the blocking. We've left the blocking and anything structural. We obviously don't want this to come crashing down on us, but we do actually realize by doing this, it's probably going to keep this a little bit safer than it was before, because it is letting air and wind through instead of kind of blocking that off, because we're taking all the tar paper off as well.
So the main problem with the house, the sill is rotted away underneath. That's the board that the frame sits on top of, in between the foundation. That's mostly rotted out. And so a lot of what's keeping this thing together is, the term they use is habit. So it's like the siding and the boards and the other stuff that's all nailed together to form that cohesive structure. So as we go, as Kim mentioned, we leave the blocking in place because that provides rigidity between the vertical framing members, and also you'll see the same blocking in the ceiling on the rafters and that for the same reason. It just brings it together and holds it strong. But to her point, by taking off all these boards and leaving more gaps in between, when the wind hits it, it's kind of like in the city when they limb a tree, they cut some of the tree branches out to thin it out so that wind will go through it, as opposed to push on it like a sail and then potentially break it, snap it. So by doing this, it does ensure that the house will last a little longer. Like if you look at the front, you can start to see where it's sagging in the middle, which is usually how they start to go, and then the ceiling will, the roof will crack or somehow shift to let water in, and once water starts getting in, then the whole thing has got like a couple of years before it caves in proper. But of course we're taking it apart now actively. Hopefully before the fall we have the majority of the stuff we're going to keep down, and then the rest of it is either going to be garbage or one hell of a bonfire when we're done.
Well, because we want to reuse the roof as well. Like we're hoping that we can use that on some kind of either shed structure, or
like a more permanent workshop or a little garage.
Because it's a good roof. There's nothing wrong with it, and as long as we can get it down without wrecking it, hopefully we can.
On a less rainy day, we'll go up with a ladder, and I don't even know yet how the roof is attached, like how each of the aluminum strips or the metal strips are either screwed in, nailed in, or they clip in, and and you can just kind of pop it apart and disassemble it. I have no clue. What I'm hoping to be able to do is, if I can figure out how that works, it would be preferable if we could do that from inside. In other words, if I could stand on the ladder and take the roof from the inside. A, not a big fan of heights. B, I have a lot of respect for heights. So then we'd have to shell out a bit extra and buy a brake fall and some rope and equipment and stuff, as I wouldn't just want to be freewheeling it up there, especially on a house that's kind of rickety and questionable.
Yeah. It is pretty cool in here, though. So we kind of wish that we could travel back in time and actually, be a fly on the wall and see the family that was living in here.
It's built as one floor at one point, and then you can see where they very unceremoniously added another floor, and did it in such a way that you can still see the roof line of the original structure. So you see like a peak, and then the extension to the house, and then the new peak, which is kind of interesting. So at some point they figured they'd expand.
There was actually a fire in here at one point. There
Yeah, it might
it
have
looks
been
like an electrical fire.
or that
because-
might have been where the original chimney went up through the middle. But yeah, there's a number of the boards that we took down from the inside wall that charcoaled. So something went sideways. We can see places where they obviously did repairs, like, you know, where over time, before it changed hands, it must have leaked for a bit, and then someone bought it, like, oh, we'll fix it up. So they replaced some of the boards, and they're using like round, proper head nails. But once you get past that, the majority of the stuff that we're dealing with now are these old, like, if I can get it into focus, these kind of old school, I don't know if they're actually hand wrought or if they're done in a factory, but they're not like your Ardox normal nails. They're the old school tapered, I call them the crucifixion nails.
Al's saving them all
Or
for a
coffin
special
nails.
project later on. He
Well,
wants to
yeah,
be able to reuse them.
what's sad is you can buy these things in bulk and they're expensive per item at like Lee Valley Tools and that to use for fancy pants. Like, you know, if you want to make a big oak kind of heavy table and make it old school, you can use these old nails and buy them stock new. But I'm just going to take a whole boatload of these, pound, you know, the ones straight that aren't too far gone, and then I'll chuck them in an electrolysis bath. Like I've done with my tools and that, get all the rust off them and stuff, and voila, start from scratch.
Yeah.
But for special projects, because the reason they replace these, like the spiral nails, obviously they hold better. What's neat about these is, for our purpose, taking them off the wall, when you have these sticking out the back of a board, because it is tapered to a point, when you bang it back through the board, it just flies out for the most part, whereas the other ones,
And we've got a
sometimes you gotta
lot of
fight.
nails to take out of these boards
Yeah.
in order to restore them. It's crazy.
You go through the layers of strata like an archaeological dig. You've got the wallpaper, and in places underneath there's tar paper that they've used to like close off, you know, the joints between the walls that when they put the house together. And they use these little metal steel squares with a nail in the center to hold the tar paper down and keep the nail head from ripping through. And then they have these little tacks that are the same as these old school nails, like they look like they're old fashioned, tapered to a point. The nails, as Kim mentioned, they nailed the drywall in with just like, you know, 1.5-inch penny nails.
So any given board could have easily 30 nails. Like, we're not in the good books with the chipmunks and the squirrels around here. They're pretty angry.
They're furious.
They've been living in here, and we found quite a few nests up on this floor, and we can hear them yipping at us all day long.
Just a word on that. Like right now, today, this is the first we've been up here. You know, since we were working on it yesterday, the wind's come through, blown, the dust has settled. As soon as we get to work, we are going to put our masks, and you've seen them in the videos, hopefully. Like, we're using proper cartridge ventilation masks and goggles and that, because it's full of, there's mouse droppings, you know, squirrel droppings, nesting materials, bird droppings, you know what I mean? God knows the stuff that's kind of living up here in the dust and that. So safety first for sure in this case. And I know to Uncle Ted, I'll wear my glasses more often with the tools and that, but definitely wearing my PPE for this biological hazard.
It's not going super fast, but we are really happy about how well the wood has kept its.
Oh, it's in great, like it's great,
in
like
great condition. Like
what you see here looks actually a little bit shabby, but the beauty is that every board that we pull off on the other side, it's like brand spanking. It looks brand new, and it's all rough cut. Like you can see bark on a lot of the edges of it. What my plan is for the boards, I've got a 4-inch planer. And you can replace the blade with a wire brush. I found that on Amazon. And then the idea is you put the board through the wire planer, and it will give that brushed wood effect. If you've ever seen that in hardwood floors and that, like all the soft grain wood gets ripped out by the brush, and then what's left behind is the grain proper of the wood, and then we're going to stain that, and the majority of this is going to end up being like the cladding for the outside of the house we build. So it's going to be a little more modern, obviously.
We're going to use it on the utility shed, we hope, as well. Maybe the floorboards.
If we have some left over, yeah. Like if we have enough.
Just to make it matchy-matchy.
Yeah, for sure. Because we can always get rough cut board from the Mennonites and that too, and matchy if we don't have enough of this. But what I like is like if we stain all this, we can use it for the cladding for the house that we build. It'll still be sustainable. It'll be like net zero in terms of its energy efficiency. But you know, the outer shell will be this recycled wood, so we're not taking down a bunch of new old trees. Because some of these boards they're almost 2 feet wide, 20 feet long. It's pretty awesome. Some pretty neat pieces that we pulled out of here so far. I might even cut some and set them aside and make a couple guitar tops out of it. Pretty funky. For sure.
Yeah, so that's it.